It's time.
Mr. Mark Hughes.
Konnichiwa, Quebec.
Welcome.
Yeah. I love sushi.
Yeah, this is the place. Well, you're in Vancouver, right? Don't you guys have a lot of sushi?
Best sushi and best Chinese food.
Really?
Everything else, fucking subpar.
You know who else says that they have the best Chinese food?
Who's that?
China. That's what they say. It's one of their selling points.
Fucking imperialism, man.
I know they're probably not wrong. They just call it food over there, but they're probably not wrong. So how you been, man?
I'm okay. I'm all right. Things are, like we were talking about. Like BC is on it's like a quasi lockdown. It's not quite as bad as what is going on for you guys. It's just 1 sec. We're gonna glitch up here. Just hold on a sec. Oh, there we go.
Are you back?
Here we go. Just had to. There we go. We're back. BC is. It sounds like it's not quite as bad as like you can go into a restaurant now and sit down.
Yeah, we can't do that.
Yeah, and a limited capacity, and there was comedy up until about a month ago. Again, limited, but it was comedy for the summer. So from the end of May till about a month ago was more fun to do in Vancouver than it had ever been.
Okay, well, we had some comedy for a while, a couple of months, summer months, all the way leading up to end of September, and it was fun. And then they just shut it down October 1st, I think, or the first week of October. And then since then, it's just been one shutdown after another.
Right. What was happening here is all the loser comics, so I can't fucking stand, were too scared to like go out, and they were all shaming each other into not doing comedy because that's their new thing, is they're social distance warriors now.
Oh,
right?
is that a thing?
So, yeah.
You think they could keep this up for a lifetime and do us all a favor?
I hope so. I hope they all get COVID. And also the people who were coming to comedy, like the audience, were people who were just cool.
They just wanted to laugh. Same here. When people were actually coming out in the summer, you got good crowds. Wait, and I'm curious about a couple of things, but I want to touch on that. So over there in Vancouver, because I didn't have that here, comics were trying their best to get out and do stand-up. So in Vancouver, I guess there's comics that were talking shit about other comics that were doing stand-up because they were going out to do stand-up.
Yeah. Okay, so just to give it some context, okay, Vancouver's probably the most toxic comedy scene in Canada.
Really?
Right? Yeah, one of the problems is, unlike you guys, Montreal, I've noticed, also because you guys have the French industry, it's more professional there, right? So there's more, it's not as small. There's more. The pie is bigger, as it were.
Than Vancouver, really?
No. Where you are,
yeah.
Quebec. Here it's tiny.
So our pie here, in reference, like our pie, you think is bigger than Vancouver's pie?
Not English speaking.
Okay, you're right.
Your English speaking comedy it's not that big. I've
no,
noticed.
but French, it's its own industry. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Here in English speaking comedy in Vancouver. Okay. Vancouver, I would say, by and large, has more comedy, English speaking, than Montreal does.
For sure.
Like you can get up on stage in Vancouver at least once a night to do comedy.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Whereas
good.
I know in Montreal it's not like that. Outside, there's how many clubs do you guys got there? English?
One.
Just one. Yeah.
Yeah.
We only have one, but that's because the Yuck Yuck shut down because of COVID.
But there's all the satellite rooms.
There's lots of indie rooms.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the problem in Vancouver, though. It's extremely political, very political, and the comics run all those rooms too. It's probably not much different in Montreal. Like the people who produce and promote the shows are comics as well, right?
Yeah. Well, we're lucky. You know Sugar Sammy?
Yeah.
So his brother Sid actually runs a nice little, actually a couple of venues, and he's not a comic, but because he understands stand-up, it's great to have a satellite room like that because it's multiple rooms. So because of him, when everything's open, you'll have multiple chances in a week to be on somewhere.
That's great. And you know what the best part about what you just said is? he doesn't do comedy.
Yeah.
Because then he can't. Here's the problem with Vancouver: all the comics, all the people who run the shows, or a lot of the shows are run by. Well, it's changed now. So historically, it was run by comics, and the comics had influence, like they were all promoters and stuff like that. So because they want to get stage time and stuff like that, the politics, it's not about, it gets corrupted, right? And then it's all this social high school statusy horse shit.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. And then, but that's it. There's not really much else here. And then, unfortunately, here, there's also a couple of people who run shows that are similar to what you just described. They don't do comedy themselves, but they kind of moved in and saw, hey, wait a minute. These people, like, you can push them around. They'll work for free and stuff like that.
No.
Yeah. It's because it's, at the end of the day, Vancouver may be the third largest city in Canada, but as far as comedy goes, in spite of what I said about the volume of shows you could do, it's small town. That's the problem. It's not like...
Here, I think the French helps because they're so proud of arts. They like to support the arts. So it's not as, obviously, it's nowhere near the same level in English here. However, that kind of love for the arts does trickle down a bit. And then it's in the mentality of, like, the locals. Not as much, though, because in English, it's a whole different thing. It's nowhere near as good as the French. But it's just some of that essence still exists.
What I will say, though, is that the audiences here are great in Vancouver. Vancouver actually gets this reputation for having the worst audiences.
Oh, really?
That's bullshit. It's just, and anyone I talk to, whether it's music or burlesque, stripping, anything in Vancouver, it seems to have this same problem where a small amount of people have control over everything. And it's not, again, this is all nickels and dimes and peanuts. This isn't real industry stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, anyway, I'm only back here because I was living in Toronto for a while, and I'm only back here because just before COVID, because I'm a Canadian entertainer, I have to have a real job, right?
Yeah.
That there was some stuff that came up, and my job is based in Vancouver, or was, and they said, we need you to come back. Anyway, I have that all sorted out. As soon as fucking Alberta, the restrictions lift in either Alberta or in Ontario, I'm leaving. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you, why Alberta?
You can make more money there.
Okay, because I like Alberta.
Alberta's great. Have you ever done comedy there?
I've never done comedy. The last time I went to Alberta was in 2004, so I wasn't. I was 18.
Yeah. Alberta, if you're based out of either Calgary or Edmonton, there's just a lot of, like, road work and stuff there, and because it's Alberta, oil, etc. I mean, it used to be.
They have money.
They have money, and Alberta is similar to what you described with Quebec. People have money. They own all their houses. They all have 2 cars, and they're like, "Hey, that's something to do."
Yeah. They'll spend the money.
Mentality, yeah. And they're not. Most of them, they're not fags. Like, they'll laugh if the joke's funny, and they're good. What losers in Vancouver do is they go, oh, well, they're all racist out there. It's like, well.
Oh, for Alberta, that's not true.
Yeah, I know. It's total bullshit.
Yeah.
I always go, well, that's why I go there.
Yeah. we have a congregation.
Yeah. But Alberta's a good place. I probably am ultimately. I want to get back to Toronto, though.
Okay.
But fuck, Ontario's like you guys right now. Who knows how long till that gets back to even close to normal, right? So
I don't know what the fuck normal is going to be anymore. Because in these big cities and in these big provinces, it's so hard. Just because if you see, like, let's say the cases spiking in numbers, all it does is cause panic, and everyone that's working in the public, like, well, what do we do? How do we handle this? You know, it's different in small places where you can isolate it. Now it's you just see a bunch of numbers and you're like, all right, fuck it, just shut everything down.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what they'll do.
Gonna take the vaccine?
No. I'm gonna avoid it as much as I can until I guess have to run away. I just want to wait. It's more of I want to wait and see if anyone's had, because I'm hearing now about allergic reactions, but I don't have any allergies, so it's not really what scares me. I just want to see long term because I don't know enough about it to say something smart. All I know is that initially they were telling me it's impossible before 2 years to have anything safe out there. And then now it hasn't been 1 year and they have something out there. So just going by what they initially told us at the beginning of this, I'm going to take my time.
I am going to wait, and all these social distance warrior types who scream at you if you leave your house and you're killing all the old people, I'll be like, hey, guys, go take the fucking vaccine. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, you be my guinea pig.
Yeah. You guys are the responsible ones. You go do it and see what happens. What's funny, though, is a lot of people I know, even what I would call like normal people, like not very political, just average people who go to work, I'd say at least half or more of them don't even want to take the vaccine.
No, this is not even a political stance. Yeah. I know people who are 100% stay in, be safe, don't kill people. It has nothing to do with that. It's not. I'm not saying the virus is fake at all. It's the opposite. No. What I'm saying is I don't know enough so I could be confident in the abilities of science right now to be able to make something this quick that could be safe for us, when they themselves told me less than a year ago, anything that comes out before 2 years will probably not work or won't be safe. So I'm just going by their logic, and I'm going to take my time, since I'm also in the category of people that are not in danger of dying if I get COVID-19. So I wouldn't risk it.
Because he's got a big cock, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, we're not at risk. Anybody in that group, in that category, is not at risk.
They call me the needle dick, because after you're done with me, you'll have autism. It's interesting, though, because usually, I have a bunch of friends, like I'm involved in all kinds of stuff, right? So I have a bunch of friends who say that there's going to be nanobots in the vaccines, right?
Okay, I've heard that. Yeah, by the way, I try to debunk this on my live stream by just stating the obvious. Do you know how expensive all that stuff is? Why would they put it in every Tom, Dick, and Harry? And also, the whole monitoring you, this right here, dude, right now, our entire conversation before it even goes online is already being recorded. Everything I type is being recorded. Anyone I see, anything I do, they know everything. They don't need to put nano shit in a vial.
I think so. Exactly. I'm on the same page with you with that one. So I have like my hardcore conspiracy theory friends. Then I know people who are like, no matter what the government says, it's 100% correct unless it's something against black people, right? And then, but what I'm noticing is, okay, so you get the two extremes, right?
Yeah.
But the people who are regular people, just kind of, again, they're not really, they don't watch Alex Jones, but they're not necessarily CNN diehards either. They're just, even
living life.
Don't want it. Yeah. Even they don't want to take the vaccine.
Yeah, because
that's fucking weird.
But
that's for me, that's weird.
For me, that's a sign that in, I guess, the general consciousness of people, there's that thought of, wait a second, we were told initially nothing before 2 years will even be safe, so don't even imagine a real world before 2 years. So a lot of people didn't forget that in the beginning, you know? And a lot of people are like, well, you know, judging by the percentages, even if I get it, I won't. There's more chance of me right now getting fucked up by taking this than of getting COVID. So I'd rather not take this right now. I'll wait.
You know anyone who's ever had COVID?
Yeah. A couple of people.
You know anyone who got really sick from it?
No. Well, here's the thing. One of my comedian friends here, and he's one of the toughest guys I know. I have to call him up, actually. I was going to invite him to do a podcast. He apparently, out of all three that got it around him, he's the toughest guy. He got it the worst. He was out for like 2 weeks, you know?
Right.
Last I heard, he was back to normal, but I haven't. And then the rest is kind of like people telling me, you know, there's a lot of people dying, but all the people dying are always, you know, in that danger category, either by age or diabetes or respiratory diseases. So I haven't seen anyone that's been run-of-the-mill, super healthy, young, that got it and died. I personally haven't witnessed that. It doesn't mean it won't happen, but I haven't seen it. I've
known lots of people who've had it now. And it ranges, when I ask them, well, what was it like? It ranges from, I was kind of sick for a couple days, to I was really sick for 2 weeks.
Yeah, or, you know, breathing. That's the fucked up thing, is that everyone handles this differently. I think that adds to the scariness of the whole thing. Because then for sure, you're nervous. Because if you see two people and one guy's like, yeah, I walked it off in an hour. And then the next guy's like, yeah, I need a respirator. I almost died. You're like, wait a second, I don't know how the fuck I'm going to handle this. So it's, yeah.
I made a decision because when it first happened, I had to drive back to Vancouver from Toronto again, and it had nothing to do with COVID.
Where's that, 5 days?
If you only stop to sleep, you can do it in 4. Took a week because I stopped in Edmonton for a few days.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's cool. Because at early days, no one knew anything. I didn't know if it was going to turn into the fucking Road Warrior or Mad Max.
That's what it looked like.
Right? No, you couldn't fucking tell, right? So I made a decision that, okay, I'm a recovering heroin and cocaine addict. I spent most of my life in prison, from teens to 30, approximately. I've been out for a long time. I built a life. I've fucking worked my ass off. I said, I'm not going to fucking be scared of this. And whatever comes. And if I die, I die. I don't give a shit. I've had a good life. I'm okay. Like if I died right now,
I've lived.
I don't regret it. I've lived everything. I've done everything I was capable of doing, and it wasn't for laziness or I didn't try or anything. And any bad shit I've done, which I've done plenty of, I've atoned the best I can. The best I can. Nothing but, I can't unrob a bank.
Yeah.
I can't home invade someone. But I've done my best to turn my life around as best I can, right? I'm not going to live in fear of this thing.
You unsuccessfully robbed a bank?
I unsuccessfully robbed a bank. And because I have a dumb joke about it. I said, when people say, well, what was the bank robbery like? I was like a aggressive panhandling.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was so fucked up that I was high on heroin. It was a speedball. Do you know what a speedball is?
Yeah. Dave Mustaine was doing that all the time.
Yeah. So coke and heroin. And I was really fucking high on heroin, and I just didn't, let that be a lesson to your kids. Fucking heroin will alter and impede your ability to rob banks.
It'll ruin your life.
It'll make it so you can't get the job done. So the teller gave me a die pack and fucking didn't get any money, and then
also that when you open it, the die explodes on you.
So I shoved okay, here's the robbery. This is it.
Oh, this is good. This is good.
Man. I hate to call. It's gonna be a total fucking letdown. Okay, so I get to the counter and I'm like, "This is a robbery. Give me $1,500."
Hold on, is that how you said it?
That's it.
And you asked for an amount.
Yeah. Well, because I'm a humble drug addict.
And you pull out your card from this account.
Yeah. From my dad's account. So she gave me a wad of money. I stick it in my jacket. It's about 20 feet outside the door. Pink smoke starts coming out of the jacket.
Oh fuck! So they had
money.
They have like a stack ready to give away to potential thieves.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I forgot what I'd learned in prison. With all the fellas strained themselves trying to teach me, is you tell them no die pack, and I forgot all about that because of heroin. Don't do drugs, kids. And I just threw the money away, and then the next day I got pinched. So
how'd they catch you the next day?
Because I was on parole, and they sent a still shot. Again, this was aggressive panhandling. A still shot of the surveillance photo. So they took a picture of it, and they sent it to all the parole officers in the province. And my PO went, "Oh, that's Mark."
So you didn't even go there masked up or disguised?
This part's okay. What happened was, I'd been out of prison. I got parole. I'd done about 5.5 years. And I was out for about 6 months, give or take. And I just wanted to go back to prison. I couldn't handle it out here. It was too overwhelming. And
so
I
what
wasn't
happens?
breaking the law. I wasn't breaking the law or anything. I was trying to go straight, but I couldn't fucking make it work.
So when you come out after 5 years, there's what's life like? Like there's no prospects for you. Everything's just different.
Everything's different. The other thing, it's not just that I've been in prison for 5 years. That's a big factor. But my whole life, from a child, had been criminal drug addict and institutions and stuff. I'd never learned. I didn't have basic life skills, right? So then I get out and I wanted to go straight for real. But I have this record and I'm trying to socialize with people and I don't want to tell them where I came from. And you're talking to people or girls or something and I don't want to tell them. But I can't relate to them. And then it starts looking weird. And it's not just in my head. It's like, this guy, something's off with this guy and his story doesn't make sense because I'm lying to them about where I've been. Like,
For
how
5
come
years,
you
yeah.
don't know this? Yeah. And I don't know what the internet is when I get out of the joint, because I got out in 2006, right? Or 2005. And the internet had become popular while I was locked up, right? So I don't get pop culture references. I don't get this. I don't get that. And it just starts, basically what happens is there just starts becoming a rift between you and other people, and you psychologically, spiritually even, you're just isolated, right? And then what happens is addiction feeds on that, and eventually I reached out to drugs to take the edge off. I'd been clean for a number of years. I got clean in the joint. I reached out to do drugs just to take the edge off. And then when I do drugs, I start robbing shit. Boom, right?
But you think subconsciously you're like, I kind of hope I get caught so I could.
No, not even subconsciously, consciously. So I'd started shooting dope again. And I remember when I started shooting dope, I was like, this is going to end bad. This is going to end bad. And I went, why don't I just rob a bank and have a little party, but do it in a fall down way where I'm going to get caught that way? Because I figured at the time, my math was, if I just get caught for the one bank, I won't get caught for a violent crime spree like what happened to what I was on parole for, right? So,
and that makes it, because the violent, I was just going to ask, the violent crime, that stays with you when you come out, and then getting jobs is impossible, right?
Yeah, and I already had all that. So I was doing, just to give it some context, I was on parole from an 8-year sentence for a fucking 2-month crime spree, which involved a bunch of armed robberies and a violent home invasion, right? And because I was trying to go straight, I didn't want to do something like that again. And in my dumb, fucking drug-addled, immature, juvenile brain, I thought this aggressive panhandling is not really that dangerous or violent. And it will give me, but it's just serious enough where it'll give me enough time where I'll be away from society for a long time. That was.
So you wanted to get the fuck away from society. It was.
I never thought I'd live I never, in all my years of doing crime and doing dope and all that, I never thought I'd be one of those guys who commits a crime to get sent back to jail on purpose.
People do that.
I did all the fucking time. A lot of them don't have as much awareness or insight as maybe I did, or won't admit it.
Yeah.
But it's not cool. When you get back to the joint, you don't admit that that's what happened. You just, fuck, someone ratted me out. I don't know how I got caught. There's an undercover cop, right? But yeah, it's...
And during your crime spree for those months, were you alone or did you have a crew?
Just alone.
Really?
Sometimes I'd do something with someone, yeah, but the lifestyle is not one that lends itself to having partners and stuff.
That's what I was thinking.
Also, you got to share the money, and I don't want to do that. So
yeah. So was it a successful crime spree? Like, if you had done the crime spree and you weren't on drugs, would you have been like successful, or it wasn't even that much?
It was all fucking Mickey Mouse shit. That's the problem, and it's careless, and you're all fucked up. And none of them were worth it. Even if I hadn't been on drugs, none of it was worth it. Like, it was all. I got 8 years for a home invasion that I got $60 out of.
Oh my God, come on.
Yeah,
but you said it was violent. You beat the shit out of people.
So that was one where I had a guy with me. He beat the shit out of it was like a bunch of people in a house, a family, right? So he beat the shit out of the dude. I held a meat cleaver to his throat. It was at 3 a.m, scared the shit out of everyone. What happened after I did that crime, it was the first crime I'd ever committed in my life, and I've done lots, where I went, okay, I went too far.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, that was even the drugs couldn't take the edge off of it. And I went, and that was the beginning of the end of my criminal lifestyle. It took beginning of the end. The end took quite a few more years, but that was it.
What happened to the other guy?
I don't know.
Oh shit! You parted ways.
We got the money. We went downtown Vancouver, got dope. A couple fixes each is all we got.
Yeah, it's $60.
Yeah, and then split ways. I saw him a couple times in jail, like the remand center. He was in for something else though. Like he as far as I know to this day, he never got caught for any of that.
Interesting.
I never, like, they knew I did it. They knew I had a partner. They tried to lean on me to give up the guy. I just said, no, man. And I just pled guilty to it. I said, fuck it. You're not going to lean on me. I'm pleading guilty. I don't care.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then they dropped it. Because often the cops don't give a shit as long as they have a conviction.
Yeah, I heard
was willing to plead guilty. So.
Fuck, that's crazy.
Yeah, man.
God damn. And then in jail, was that when you first got in there, was that a culture shock for you, or did you feel at home?
No, I just took the edge off by raping people.
Good. That's one strategy.
Only white ones, though, fellas. South will rise again.
Wait, what? When you got in jail, were people threatening to beat and rape you, or was it chill?
No, that's bullshit. That's all bullshit.
Yeah, because I have a buddy. I have a buddy who, but he went to jail in the States. This was years ago. I've seen him in a while. Actually, this will probably piss him off if he hears this. But he went in when he was probably in his early 20s, and he did like a cross-border crime. It was this whole fucking thing, and he's the only one from that crew that went to jail, but in the States. And he thought, because he saw movies, I'm gonna be the tough guy. I'm gonna go beat up the toughest guy there. And I guess he stood up to the wrong person. And the rest of the time that he was in there, it was all beatings and rape, because he thought that he was Eminem. All he did was step up once, and they beat the shit out of him and raped him mercilessly.
All the white girls just got wet after you explained that.
It's just
beatings and rape.
No, but it's just because everybody thinks it's a movie. So this guy's like, I know how this works. Dude, you're alone in another country in the prison system you don't get.
I've interviewed lots of ex-cons from all different places for my podcast. I've only ever talked to one guy who described the prison system in Alabama.
Oh, how's that?
It's like what the movies are like.
But you know what I mean by the movies? I don't mean like, because there is a lot of violence in a lot of prisons, depending on the country. Yep. I mean just in his head, instead of thinking, well, if it's like the movies, then wouldn't the bad stuff still be possible? This guy's like, I'm going to be the big dog.
Oh, fuck. Jesus Christ.
And he's a twig. He's a fucking twig. So he stepped up to the wrong person, and then, dude, he was a changed man. Ever since he came out of there, he was a wreck.
They'll fuck you up. I've only ever talked to one guy who described a prison system like you hear in the movies. Anyone else I've ever talked to in the States and up in Canada, all this like Aryan Brotherhood versus this and rapes and
I haven't seen any of that here. I got friends that were in jail and that didn't happen.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
There's cliques and stuff like that, and like the way I describe is people go, what's racial shit like in Canadian prisons? So I can only speak to the ones I've been in, which are on the West Coast. There's all kinds of races in there, right? It's mostly white because it's predominantly a white country, right? And in BC, we don't have a lot of black people. There's not very, I mean, thank God, right? But
people aren't gonna get that. My fans will get the joke. Other people are gonna be like, what the fuck is this shit?
That's okay. That's all right. I need the heat. At Mark Hughes comic, if you want to tweet storm at me. So there was like in one joint I was in, there was like 6 black guys. They all hung out together.
Yeah, well, cliques are always gonna form.
You just kind of hang out with people who are like you.
Yeah.
It's just a natural human tendency. But was there beef and war and tension? No.
Like, I got a lot of friends here, too, that have been jailed, but in Montreal. Yeah. And I haven't heard... One guy got beat up, but it was his fault and he knows it. But I haven't heard... Like, I heard, like, they were eating fucking desserts and shit. Like, it sounded ridiculous to me.
It's pretty good. It's not too bad. Like, if you go to prison... The rules are actually remarkably easy to figure out. Some of them don't make any sense, but if you just don't break that rule, like, for example, don't flush your toilet at night. People go, what the fuck? What if I take a big disgusting shit? Don't flush your toilet at night. The reason is because the toilet's really fucking loud.
So you're going to wake up at... Oh, okay.
Yeah. But just don't do shit like... Don't disrespect people. Don't break any... Like, no whistling in jail. You're not supposed to whistle in jail either.
Okay, right? Explain that. I've never heard that.
No one knows why. You get a bunch of different reasons for it. So one of them is it's one of the myths or urban myths is the guards would whistle as they were taking the guy to the gallows.
Okay.
Another one is birds whistle and birds are free and we're not free, so don't remind us of freedom.
That's stupid.
Yeah. Another one is it's just annoying. That
I believe.
Yeah.
That I have to go back to the toilet thing. I have a question. So let's just say you're in a cell and you take, like you said, a huge shit at night.
Yep.
Are we preferring disgusting smell for the entire evening? Everyone's happy with that instead of a flush?
Yes. So what you do is in most prisons I was in is you'd find some kind of, there's always, prison is a very industrious kind of innovative place. So people would get like a piece of cardboard or something and you just cover the toilet and then it doesn't smell.
Okay. So it's happened.
Then as soon as the cell unlocks in the morning, flush, and that's it. No problem.
Interesting. And what about the guards in Canadian prisons? The guards in general, do they beat the shit out of people for no reason?
Nah. Basically, it's like two different worlds. They're there, and we're here, and just there they are. And if they come in, and if they catch us shooting dope or whatever, or stabbing someone, then they grab us, throw us in the hole. Yeah, but other than that, they're just there to make. They're basically just there to make sure you don't escape or kill people. That's it.
So it's kind of like high school, or not? It's like elementary almost.
But you're not beefing with them either. It's just this kind of hey, like if we were sitting here talking in a cell right now, just shooting the shit, and one walked by because they go do rounds, right?
Yeah.
Just look. Oh, hey. You're not buddies with them, but you're not necessarily going "fuck you, pig" or any of that.
Yeah, that wouldn't make sense. That would lead to beatings.
Yeah.
If I was a correctional officer and you're just talking shit, I would beat the shit out of people.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, if I'm a correctional officer, that's what I do.
Yeah.
Like Rick Ross, that's what he did.
Yeah.
He was one of those guys, and then he faked it. Yeah. He's like, I'm a gangster now. Shut up, buddy.
Who was it who called him out on that 50 Cent, I think?
50 called, yeah. Dude, speaking of calling people out. So, because, Mike, yourself too, you had that whole fun thing with, what's it, Danica Yaniv or Yannicka Banev or whatever? Jessica Yaniv, who wanted to have a pool party with 11-year-olds without their parents. That fucking psychopath. So you're no stranger to this, controversy and just people overreacting to shit and sometimes underreacting. Like with that case, I feel like general population with your thing underreacted to an adult wanting to have an unsupervised pool party with children. But I'll get to that.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, in a second, because if anybody knows, it's you that understands more details. But I was, Count Dankula, who basically went to fucking jail for a joke. So
that was a cute video too, man.
Yeah, and
did you see? You saw it, right?
Of course, the pug video. Yeah, and just the training and getting the pug to do that. Yeah. But so I saw one of his tweets, and he was talking about Frankie Boyle, who has been mentioned to me a lot by people, and I didn't know that this guy is out now. He was supposed to be, from what I heard, an offensive comedian, just a comedian that would push the envelope. Because whenever I hear offensive comedian, I'm like, that sounds goofy. Offensive comedian. Just be a comedian.
I hate those fucking terms. I hate.
You know why I hate them? Because sometimes I'll say something funny that to you might be offensive, but to the next person it won't be. It's just the way the humor line works.
It's also a way I've noticed. I don't know if you deal with this as much, but me definitely. If people will start, he's edgy, he's offensive, he's dark, but then it marginalizes you.
Yeah.
And a buddy of mine noticed it a while ago. He says, even though I'm funnier than most of the comics who call me dark, it turns you into a sideshow act.
Yep.
And I don't like it. So my just sorry to interrupt your train of thought. Hold that thought.
I'm holding
my little form of activism in comedy, just a little bit, is I refuse to allow myself to be called dark or edgy anymore.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So you get what I'm saying.
Just a comic. No, just comedy. That's all it is. It's funny. Is it funny or not? That's all I care about.
You could, because I've been categorized as like they'll say dark or gallows humor. I'm fine with that. The problem is that, okay, it could be a subtext. You could say someone has, I don't know, lighter humor. Like let's say Jim Gaffigan. Jim Gaffigan, also very funny dude. Jim Gaffigan and I, different types of jokes. Both comics. Okay, I'll take this person to a Pantelis show. I'll take this person to a Jim Gaffigan show. But you can't deny that he's hilarious and he's a great comedian. But we have different jokes. But the reason why I don't like to, when they go, you're pushed the envelope or you're edgy, is because all comedy, including Gaffigan, is edgy. Because that's what makes it funny, right? That you're tipping. The second it's not, and it's just like, what's the deal with blue shirts? They're blue. Then that's not funny anymore. That's just you making unfunny observations. Yep. That's my issue with it. So if you're unfunny, you're going to try to categorize someone as X, Y, whatever.
I have so many thoughts on this, but I want to hear what you have to say about Frankie Boyle, because I am quite familiar with Frankie Boyle.
So I wasn't familiar with him, but people have been. My buddy Robert Sheehan, who he's an actor, like he plays on like Umbrella Academy on Netflix. I think he was the first person to tell me, have you heard of this guy? He's in the UK. He's very funny. You'd probably like him because of your sense of humor. So I see this tweet from Dankula, and he was basically saying, and then I went to look into it. He was talking shit to Ricky Gervais. Because he goes, Ricky Gervais pushed a line. He's not a comic. Why does he make fun of specific people? Why did he make a trans joke about Caitlyn Jenner at the Golden Globes? Stuff like that. Why are you targeting people? But as far as I'm concerned, I don't care whether you consider yourself an edgy comic or... The reason why I like comedy, I make fun, and comedy is you make fun of everything. I make fun of myself. I make fun of Greeks, just like I'll make fun of Algerians. I'll make fun of Canadians, Quebecers, everyone, because we're all in on the joke. We're fucking around. It's comedy. The second you create a protected class like that, are you saying, for example, are you saying that Caitlyn Jenner can't handle jokes or that trans people can't handle jokes? Because Caitlyn Jenner was also on roasts and is able to clearly handle jokes. It's not up to Frankie Boyle to decide who's a protected class or not.
And look at the shoulders on her. She can handle a roast.
Oh, she can handle, dude. She can't handle fucking driving, but she can handle a goddamn joke.
That's right.
It's when I see shit like that, it drives me crazy. Because like, wait a second, now are you saying that there's a certain group of people that are less than?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, yes, exactly. That's it. Have you ever heard the term soft bigotry of low expectations?
I have not, but I like this term.
Okay, so Google it when we're done. It's how liberal or leftist types, generally speaking, are bigoted. So here's a classic example of soft bigotry of low expectations. You walk into a grocery store and you see a black guy working there.
Okay.
And you go, "Oh Mike, I'm so glad that you have a job. I'm so happy."
That's absurd.
Yeah. Or like speaking over another group. You know, liberal white
You're talking about white women shit, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't want to. Oh, okay, yeah, you got me. Liberal white women speaking, but that's soft bigotry of low. It's treating low expectations where it's like you think they're so brittle and fragile that you have to protect them. You don't. It's dehumanizing because it's like, no, you let them. Did a trans person get offended at the joke? Okay. Or they didn't. Oh, so why are you offended?
Yeah, it's
for example, right?
But not even that. It's just in general. There's a big difference between actively trying to, let's say, hate someone and a joke. Yep. Like there's a big difference between let's fuck around because we're joking about it. We're all aware. Let's put it all out. Like Caitlyn Jenner jokes, the reason why he did it, he made fun of everyone. He talked shit about pedophiles. He talked shit about the industry. It's to me, and this guy Frankie Boyle, what fucks with me is that why did he just do this shift? Obviously the dopamine fix. You love the retweets, you love the likes, because I could go out and say some crazy shit like that too, just to get likes and retweets. You know what I mean? But I won't believe it. You know, I believe that we should make fun of everyone who gets it. Anyone that could understand. You know, I'm not gonna make fun of a brain dead person to him because the joke's not gonna land. But anyone who gets it, of course they're fair game because we're all in this together. Let's fuck around.
I used to watch Frankie Boyle. He used to have a show.
What's it called?
I can't remember. If you look it up, it was a show on BBC.
Like a sitcom?
One of those. Sketch.
Okay, was it good?
Sketch show. Yeah.
Yeah, the Brits can laugh.
And he made fun of drug-addicted prostitutes and fucking killing them and like all kinds of shit, right? It was great. I'm a drug addict. That's hilarious, right?
Well, you should write him a letter now.
Yeah. Then he released a special a couple years ago, 2018, something like that. People are like, "Oh, you got to watch this. You got to watch this." Opens with Trump jokes, man. I'm like,
oh, he went political right away.
Yeah. Like, and it just, hey, man, joke about whatever you want. I'm on the same side as you are, but if you're bashing Trump, it better be the most fucking original joke you ever fucking heard in your life because it's all been done by now. It literally gets fucked. Late night talk. I'm not saying anything original here. You know this, and your listeners probably know this. Late night talk shows hosts they have teams of writers writing Trump jokes.
Just Trump jokes, to the point that now, if guys like me talk about Trump on stage, no matter what I say, it's automatic. Oh, this guy's for him or a supporter. Because there's a joke that I was doing. I don't know if it's gonna have any effect now when we open up about how people were mad at me for following Trump on Twitter. And I was explaining how if you're on Twitter and you don't follow Trump, you're not doing Twitter properly. You should just get off Twitter. He's the funniest person on Twitter. And then we'll talk about how he'll reply to regular people. You know, how he's the president of the most powerful country on the planet. You could tweet him with, "You should be ashamed of yourself for putting kids in cages or whatever." And there's a small chance he replies with, "Go fuck your mother." That's great. You know, it's a great time. But I would have people that would laugh. And then after, people would be like, "What's, why do you support Trump? Why are you following him?" I go, well, how do you not understand the joke of, if you're on Twitter and he's on there and he's the president saying crazy shit, he's the person you should be following. You should monitor that. It's hilarious. But now the word has become a trigger. So I wouldn't put that on a special because it's not going to age well, you know? And all the Trump being orange, all that shit's been done. I can't give anything new. There's no new perspective.
Only president in the history of the United States that you're allowed to make fun of solely based on his skin color. We were funny. One president too late, bud.
Yeah, one president too late. If we were able to get away with it before, 8 years of jokes.
Yeah. Okay, to speak to that, okay, why is Trump a trigger? Why can they not contextualize? Why do they not catch nuance anymore? Why is Frankie Boyle one of the most successful comedians outside? He is like, if Ricky Gervais, I don't know. This is people could probably say I'm wrong on this. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, Ricky Gervais is the king of fucking British comedy. Okay. I know let's just say, right?
Yeah. Well, he's done a lot.
Boyle, yeah. Frankie Boyle's one step down. He's fucking huge in the UK. He's
in the UK,
fucking rock star in the UK.
It's crazy how that shit doesn't always translate here. Like, he's that big, and I had only heard about him, peripherally.
Dude, it's amazing. I think what happens to people, especially celebrities, once they get into a certain, once they're allowed in certain parts of the mansion,
once they're in the group,
I think that it's a brainwashing, and I think it's because, especially, most comics are kind of like, they want approval.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what the audience laughter is, right? They're approving the joke.
And I noticed there's certain comics who want approval from their peers more than they want it even from the audience. That's what Vancouver's full of. They're telling jokes looking at the back of the room the whole time. It's actually disgusting because
that's weird.
They don't care about the audience. Like, so if a comic kills, but the comics didn't like it, it's like this.
What?
Or if a comic, even worse though, dude, if a comic bombs, but the comics in the back did like it, it's really fucking pathetic. Anyway,
that's weird.
I could go. I bash Vancouver all the time.
That's weird, though. You're describing psychopath behavior.
Yeah. I think what happens at the upper echelons is that. I think it's a larger, more wealthy and powerful version of that. I think guys get in to the fucking in group in Hollywood, and then they get scared of losing it.
Okay.
I think that's what happens.
But how you know what this surprised me about this guy? I don't know a lot about him, but from what I know, he made his career himself, being himself, doing his type of jokes. So there's nothing they could take away from you. They didn't give you anything.
Dude, I think it's brainwashing. I think social media fucks our heads up too. So to be compassionate towards anyone, I think social media fucks us up, right?
I think it's oversimplified. I think it's that dopamine fix of the likes and the retweets. And I keep telling people that the danger now in society is I know people in not direct circle, but very close to my circle that I've had discussions with, because they'll ask about podcasting and all that. And it always goes back to the same thing about likes and followers. And they're more concerned with getting likes than the substance of what they're putting out. It would be like if someone would tell me, look, if you just change your podcast and you do a fake Greek accent and your podcast is funny times with a Greek and you just act goofy, 1 million followers. I wouldn't do it because it wouldn't be fun for me. But there's a lot of people that I even know that would be like, fuck yeah, I'll do it. Let me get these 1 million followers. But it's, what does it give you, especially in creating wise? You're not creating what you want to create. Right now, I'm fucking super happy. I'm comfortable. I'm creating the stuff I want to create. And no one can take it away from me because it's a direct thing I have with fans.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. People tell me all the time, Mark, why don't you tone it down? Here's the one. Here's the classic line. Mark, why don't you just tone it down and play the game until you get famous? Then you can do whatever you want. That's not how it works. Okay.
Because then you would have become famous through other means, which means that they'll pull the rug from under you the second you shift.
First of all, this is all a fucking lottery anyway. You can play the game all you want. You're probably still not going to get famous.
Yep.
First of all. Second of all, what you just said. Third of all, okay, if I'm just going to approach this rationally and go, okay, the most I can ever expect is some fun while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple bucks here and there. Maybe seeing some smiles on people's faces. And maybe, just maybe, enjoying the process. Why the fuck would I take the only form of payment I get from it? So whore myself out and don't have any fun and then still not win the fucking lottery?
Crazy.
Fuck you.
Doesn't make any sense.
Shit, man. Fuck. Hey, man, I don't care if all I ever have is 30 fans, but I'm having fun.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm not even saying I'm this guy with huge amounts of integrity. It's math to me is all it is. I mean, I do this. People ask me all the time, why do you do comedy? It's because Approval, yeah. I'm not any different than anyone else, but I like going on stage and being able to say what I want, dude. I lived in.
I'll tell you the truth. I'm addicted.
Yeah, me too.
Completely addicted to everything, the writing, the testing, the going on, and that didn't work. Let me try this next time. I'm completely addicted to fucking with people, on stage. Be like, oh, how come this isn't working? Why isn't this? Let me see if I could tweak this and trigger them. I'm completely addicted.
I traded in the syringe and the gun for a microphone.
I believe it, bro.
But it's also because I was in prison. I'm big on freedom.
Me too.
And liberty, because I know what it's like to have your freedom taken away. I know what it's like to have your fucking speech actually censored by the state, to have them control what you're allowed to, the media you're allowed to consume. I know what it's like to have them control what media you're allowed to, like they read your letters and they'll fucking send them back to you if they have something, if they don't like something in it, right?
Holy shit.
I know what it's like to listen to a music and them go, we're concerned that the music you listen to isn't part of your rehabilitation program. So I got out. I earned my way out of prison. I earned my way back into society. Busted my ass to become a productive. Well,
you're a comedian. I don't know how productive you are, but you're a law-abiding citizen.
Law-abiding. I don't break the law, and I don't rip people off. I don't fuck anyone over anymore. Right? I don't do drugs. I don't do anything.
Good.
I am not trading in a physical prison for a spiritual or psychological prison. I'm not doing it. And if they said, okay, well, then you can't do comedy, so be it. Yeah. If they somehow made it so I cannot do comedy, okay, fine. I'm not. You can only do it like this, or you can't do it at all. I'm not doing it. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I've turned down gigs like that too. I've turned down gigs, and it wasn't integrity-wise. And it was just like, well, I can't. I'm not gonna have fun. You asked me to go somewhere and talk about shit I don't want to talk about.
What they say to me is, can you tone it down? I'm like, dude, you saw my toned down version. That's as toned down as I get. I don't have a tone. This is what I do.
I also don't like that because I don't know what that means. Because again, everyone's different. Everyone's different.
Rule of thumb, I don't know if you deal with this much where you are. If you walk into a room or a show and they go, okay, you can joke about anything you want except one, even if it's just one thing, guaranteed there's more things that are going to be a problem. Garrett, I remember I did this one on a suburb of Vancouver, and it was a new show, just an indie show. And they said, because it was the Bible Belt, they said, you can joke about anything you want, just nothing about abortion. Within 2 months, the list had grown to a bunch of different things. So,
well, I guess side note, years ago, my buddy Andy, he was a comedian too. Now he stopped, but he wanted me. It was like not a fundraiser. It was a birthday for a woman who was, I think, dying of cancer, an old woman in her 80s. And he's like, yeah, they just want you to do some stand-up. They like your shit. Just come do like 20 minutes. I was like, oh, shit, cool. And the day that I got there, I showed up there. The guy comes out. The guy was in charge. Like, hey, thank you for coming, this and that. I don't know if he told you. And he hadn't warned my buddy everything. He goes, just you could say whatever you want. Just don't talk about Jews or the gays. And here's the thing now. I'm like, what the? That's such a weird. And I don't think I even have any Jewish or gay specific jokes. I go, but what, like, are there a lot of gay Jewish people in there? He's like, no, none. And I'm like, well, why? And then I just started to get in my head. I was like, I don't want to fucking do this. This is weird. Like, what a weird, arbitrary thing to say about people that are not even there. Like, just weird shit. And I remember my buddy apologizing. He's like, dude, I didn't know this. I'm fucking sorry. I was like, this is so strange. Like, I don't know. Now I want to open with gay Jewish stuff. That's all I want to do. I'm a rebel.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm like you though, man. It's not always about like integrity necessarily. Although I don't. Okay, yeah.
I don't not have integrity. It's just that I want to have fun.
But I want to have fun, and also, I'm also thinking like, if you're trying to get me to do a gig and you start off with like content restrictions, I'm not the fucking guy for you anyway.
That's what I say.
Even find a guy.
Yeah, why get me? I'll give you 10 people that are better at what you want than I am.
Oh, but I love what you do, Mark. But
if you don't
love what I do, why? Yeah. There it is. This is a fresh story that I'm going to share. It just happened last night. So the only comedy club in Vancouver it's not open right now, but still exists.
Okay.
Yuck Yucks is.
What's it called? The Mix or the Zone or some shit?
That one's shut down.
Okay.
The latest one is called House of Comedy.
Is it any good?
I guess so. I can't get on it though.
Oh, you can't get. That's a good name though. I like the House of Comedy.
It's run by Rick. It's owned by Rick Bronson.
I've heard. This guy is from Montreal.
He's a chain. He has a chain. in the States and
Oh
Edmonton
yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff
That's
like
why I
that.
know.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Is he
So anyway,
is he a good dude? You ever speak to him?
Never, I don't know the guy. He's just the owner. I
Okay,
don't
so
know
yeah,
how
he's
much
not
he
there
has-
for the day to day. Yeah, yeah.
So the booker is someone I've known for 7 years. So anyway, a couple months ago, this happened. This is the type of shit that happens to me all the time, right? And I'm telling this story to get to another thing that just happened last night. So a couple months ago, I moved back to Vancouver. Comedy opens back up in May. I emailed a booker who I've known for a long time and I would have considered a friend. Can I get on the show? Can I get a middle spot? Can I get a middle spot? I just want a middle spot or anything. An MC. I'm not a headliner. I fully admit I'm not a headliner, but can I get some paid work? Because I thought, okay, finally, a friend of mine is in a position that they could actually hire me. Finally get a reply back. Yeah, okay, we'll give you a fucking middle spot mid-October, I think it was. Couple weeks before the show, I get this email saying we've had to remove you from the lineup and there aren't any other spots available, but maybe I'll let you know in the new year or something like that. Now, okay, I've had lots of reschedulings over the years. They do not use terms like remove.
Yeah, but why?
So I know her. She's a personal friend. I said, okay, just level with me, right? Like, this sounds political. I hear something's off with the way you're saying this, right? Because usually when they reschedule, you've probably had this happen. Sorry, Pantelis, this weekend doesn't work. What are your other dates? Or they give you alternate dates.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Can't do this weekend. Can you do the one before or the one after?
Yeah.
Someone's coming in. They're bringing their own people. Sorry, bud. You probably have that happen.
Yeah, it's happened.
I've had that. Yeah, same, right? They never say remove, and they never give no other spots.
Yeah, I've never been removed from a lineup.
I've been removed before.
Okay.
But they've said we've had to take you off because we got complaints. That's what I usually get, right? But I got this sort of weird hybrid version of that. So I asked her flat out. I said, "Did someone complain?" No, just scheduling stuff. And she goes,
But what's I was already scheduled. I was already booked. What's the scheduling conflict?
That's the thing. I couldn't get a straight answer, right? Anyway, we ended up getting in a fight because I said, "Listen, I've known you for a long time. Can you just fucking tell me?" Basically, more polite than that, but I was pretty blunt, right? And she goes, "That's it. I'm not fighting with you." So anyway, last night I got an email for a private Facebook DM. Really love from her. I haven't talked to her since. I'm not asking for spots anymore because I could tell something smells rotten, right?
Yeah.
And I'm moving anyway, so I don't give a shit. Really, she heard me on another podcast where I was just explaining troubles in comedy, and I was, whatever, doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. That part doesn't really matter. And she goes, "I love that you speak the truth. I love what you do. I love your hustle." And I said, "Yeah, but what the I'm condensing the conversation.
Yeah.
I was like, but it sounds like you let politics to make decisions for you." They're like, "Oh, no, it's not." I said, "Well, why was I taken off that lineup a few months ago?" "Well, you see, sometimes the headliner, he brings his MC and opener with him," which is not true. On that one, the MC and opener were locals.
Okay.
And I was booked fucking, and then she goes, "And sometimes I've got to rearrange things." And I said, "Well, why would you, I don't understand. This doesn't make sense how this all happened. But I really love what you," and she keeps on doing this. "I really love what you do. I really love what you do. I love what you do, but I can't." And I said, and it's like, "But you can't do anything for me." "Yeah, but I really love it. You keep it up. You keep hustling. You keep grinding, but you can't." You're like the one person in this city who could actually hire me to do something. And you're encouraging me and saying how much you love me, but you're not doing the one objective, observable behavior that would show how much you actually support me.
She's the reason you didn't want to live in normal society again.
Right. And dude, I don't know, man. I don't want to sound like I'm whining or a martyr, but I get tired of that shit. Like people not standing behind what, I don't.
Yeah, it gets frustrating.
I believe she does like what I do, but I believe there's factors that play into why she can't hire me. If she just told me flat out, "You cause too much trouble with the comedians, they don't like you," and if she just told me that.
So are you beefing with everyone in Vancouver? There's no comics that you get along with?
Pretty much. I can't get hired on most. And it's not even because I fight with them. It's because I don't play the game mainly.
Yeah.
And I call out bullshit when I see it. Because I got nothing to lose, so I'll do it.
You know what the difference is here, at least, because I do the same, but there's still a lot of comics, like a lot of good comics here. So I still feel like I have a home. Like there's comics and we'll get along.
You have people who have your back too, right?
Yeah, I do.
I don't really have that here because, again, the biggest problem, if I had to sum it up, is it's small. So in Vancouver, let's say a couple people don't like you. You could lose half or more of the spots because they might be scared of booking you because then they might not be able to get booked, or they'll say, oh, you're booking Mark Hughes. Do you support racism? They pull shit like that.
But Mark,
right? So,
you're here in public right now because they like to misconstrue everything. Are you or have you ever been a racist?
Well, does the day end in Y or?
I was about to say why taking so long.
Yeah.
No, but like the reason why I'm saying that is because they like to take shit out of context. But in context, I like flat out right now in context. Are you a racist? I already know the answer. I know you're not a racist. We've already met. But I'm just saying, why does taking an out of context joke hold more weight than what the actual person is saying?
Dopamine on social media.
Okay.
That's what I think. It all starts there. If we had to say what's the problem with society, I think it's actually that shit. You can call now. This might be the part where your fucking listeners tune out.
Because when racism doesn't work, when they figure out, they're like, oh fuck, he's not a racist. They'll just find something else.
Dude, here's the thing. Here's my plan of action these days.
You don't care. You just double down. You're fucking.
Yep, man. You're right. Because here's the thing. As far as they're concerned, I'm racist and transphobic anyway. You're racist and transphobic if you don't vote fucking for, if you're not loudly voting for whoever they say you have to vote. If you're
I'll do whatever the fuck I want.
If you're not burning down police stations, you're fucking racist. So if they go, you're racist, they go, yeah, that sounds like Jew talk to me. you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I just lean into it. You might as well. You might as well, because it's. Also, I'm always hoping, like, especially if it's online, if they're like, you're a racist, and I lean into it. I hope it's funny, the things I say, because I'm a comedian. I hope it gets retweeted and shared and stuff like that. So the people who, the guys we want showing up to our shows,
show up.
I may speak on your behalf, go, hey, that guy's kind of funny. I like what he says. And yada,
but there's so many idiots out there that don't get it, because it happens to me on Twitter too, where people can't, the nuance they won't get, or sometimes just it's my fault too, because out of context for regular people. And they're like, what the fuck is this? So there's a lot of that. But for you, I know the kind of shit that you're going, because I've gone through with certain people that just like to talk shit. It has nothing to do with context. It's purposely, they know the truth. It's purposely, let me find something that I could take out of context to make it look like this, because they have no other argument.
It's also, I find people who are, I remember people used to say this to me, and I didn't believe it, because I'm like, fuck off. I'm not, like, come on, I've only been doing this a few years. They'd say they're jealous of you. I'd say, what is, I got nothing,
it's
man.
Not, it's not fucking, that.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes, because it's not even me. It's not because anyone's jealous of me. It's just you find someone that you don't like for X, Y, Z reason. And then you're like, well, right now in the world, this is good ammunition if I use this bullet. Luckily for me, because there's so many videos, there's so much, like a lot of the stuff doesn't work because there's proof positive of the opposite, racism or homophobia. It's not.
Fucking drug dealer was black.
Okay, there you everybody? Go. But it's not me as a person. So when that comes out, I laugh about it because I'm like, this is so stupid. You might as well go online and be like, this guy doesn't have a beard. Fake beard. It's just as stupid to me. It's just, if you say that, it's just as dumb to me. So I don't care as much anymore. But in the city like where you're in, that could bury you. That could just bury you, and then that what it did. You can't get gigs.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I can't get booked anywhere. So, and that's fine. I'm okay with that, because I remember when I came back, I moved to Toronto because, again, same thing. I have no real allies, or even my friends. I don't want to throw them under the bus too much, but they don't have enough pull to do anything.
Yeah, what are they going to do?
They're in the same boat I am.
Yeah.
I don't blame them. It's just, I do kind of blame them, because it's, in a general way, no one specifically, because one of the reasons that this person, the booker, was telling me how much she appreciates me is I was on a podcast talking shit and naming names, right? And I wasn't just talking shit. Because it was a podcast that I know local comedians will listen to. And it's just like, guys, if you guys all just started a show, 10 of you started a show, these people who fucking are charlatans, snakes, and bullies wouldn't have power.
That's true.
Problem solved. That's all it would take. But no one does it because they're on the West Coast. They're lazy.
Everywhere.
Yeah, is it everywhere?
Everywhere.
Okay, yeah. So they're not industrious.
That's part of the curse of being a comedian. You have to fight the laziness.
Right. Guilty.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. I just had to be industrious because I knew what from the get-go I couldn't do much comedy unless I fucking started my own shit. My biggest problem these days, I don't know about you. I don't want to be a comedy producer though. I want to be a stand-up, and I don't want to have to produce 5 shows a week and worry about that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Do you ever produce shows, or you?
No, once in a while back in the day when I was starting, but it's too time consuming for, like, look at me now with all the podcasts, the writing, it's impossible. It's impossible.
Yeah. And in a city like Vancouver, unless you produce shows, you're fucked. You can't do it because they just won't book you on shows.
And if you want people to show up, you can't just produce it by putting it together. The marketing, the pushing people, it takes so much. Yeah, it's a full-time job. So if I would do that, I wouldn't be able to do everything else.
I always tell people the reality is you can only serve one master, because comedy, just stand up alone. Never mind your podcasting. Never mind your social media presence. Never mind working on jokes. Just the fucking stand-up
full-time
takes a long time.
Yeah.
And then you're doing also. Call me a bit of a romantic. I don't believe, and I realize we are where we are, and this isn't fucking 1980s LA with agents and managers, but I don't think we should be producers. I don't think that's the best use of our skills or our talent. I think guys who are good at that. I would have no problem in an ideal world. I know this doesn't exist, but if someone were to be like, Mark, I'll get you booked on shows if you give me money to do it, I'd be like, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, of course. That's what an agent is.
Yeah, exactly. We just do you have them in Quebec?
Agents?
Yeah.
Yeah, agents, managers. It's just like in Quebec we have agents, but most comics don't have an agent or a manager. Like I have an agent for acting.
Right.
And I just now recently, well, it's been a year, but on and off, that I have a guy who's basically my manager who tries to hook me up with gigs, but him, it's not, I do all the stand-up myself. Even for the agent, she acting gigs in French, that's her job, and I want mostly voice work. And him, it's for my writing stuff, scripts. So for stand-up, it's true. For stand-up, I do it all myself.
Yeah, I guess because there really isn't enough gigs for it to be profitable for someone to do it for us, right? I guess would be the...
Even when I go to the States, I do it all myself because, look, back in the day, there was this, and hopefully this motivates you, because back in the day, there was this kind of hierarchy. Like even for any club, you have to break into a club. Well, not your style of break-in. You break into a club, you start doing weekends, you start middling, you get enough time that then you could headline in other cities. So you headline in your city, then you go around and they'll book you and then they'll pay you whatever they pay you. But that's because it's the only way to get known. Nobody knows you in other towns. Because of the internet, everything has changed. Your new billboard is the podcast or social media. Some people are just excellent at sketches. You build up a following online. You figure out where they all are. In all likelihood, they're normally nearby. Like mine, it's very much U.S. and Canada, but even in the U.S., it's all like tri-state area, New Jersey, Boston, New York, all that stuff. So you kind of know, and you put together your own tours. Nowadays, clubs before Corona, bars, all that, most of them that we contact when we were doing my stuff, even in French here, some of them won't even charge you to book the place because they're going to make money off booze. So there's apps like Eventbrite. You can sell your own tickets. You pay your own crew, your guy at the front door. You bring your own friend to be the MC. That's what I would do. You organize your own tour. Nobody's stealing from you. Your fans come directly, so it's cheaper. Tickets are normally around $20 because they don't have to pay $30 because you're not paying all this other shit. You decide the venue. You could put on more shows if the venue's not big enough, And even if half the people show up, you still made money, or you broke even. You're not going to lose because you're not paying it. You're not paying the venue, Or even if you do, it's $80. It's nothing. And you make a small tour again, and you become bigger and bigger. And then if the clubs want you, they'll pay you to go there. But you don't need them. You could go into a city. Like if I want, I could go to Ottawa. I don't need to go to a club. I'll just rent a bar.
In some ways, these days, it's probably better not to go to a club.
Yeah.
Usually, I found the club, there's a lot of conditions attached to it, or they want too much money. They're like, oh, no, we'd love to have you. $750 to rent the room. It's like a fucking bar. It's the same size. I'll do it for fucking nothing.
Yeah,
right?
for nothing. And some bars, what I had, which was crazy, is some bars, not only will they not take money, they'll even give you, they'll be like, and you'll get 30% of the sales. So you're making money no matter what. So why not do it yourself? Promote like crazy, do podcasts so you can get your views up and people could see who you are. And they're like, I like this guy. I want to go see his stand-up.
And basically, that's been my path for the last 5 or so years. Well, I've been doing comedy 7, going on 8, but that's like I have a little fan base. No, it's not a bad one.
Yeah, but you have a little fan base because you worked at doing something online to get them. None of this shit is given.
No. And so my fans are basically, they're based out of Vancouver, BC, Alberta, some in Ontario, and the States. But I can't go to the States, so if we can't fucking
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask about the criminal record. So are you fucked forever?
Pretty much, with maybe some faint hope, but yeah, pretty much. Okay, so I applied to cross the border. Okay, just cross the border.
Yeah.
Never mind green card or any of that shit. Just cross the border. I can't even cross the border. I can't even go down there to buy fucking gas.
That's crazy.
Nothing. I'm not allowed to cross the border. I applied 2017 and I got the decision in 2018. Spent fucking $3,000 or $4,000. I can't remember exactly. Let's just say $3,000 with a lawyer and everything just to hear a no.
Fuck.
So it's basically, this is what I'm going to have to look forward to every few, like, and you can apply again and you can apply again and you can apply again. The problem is I have a really bad record, right? It's really bad. And it's not just that it's a bad record. It's not even like just one really bad crime and then nothing. It's for years, from 1995 to 2006, conviction after fucking conviction after conviction. I have over 40 convictions, right?
Fuck.
Yeah. I was really good at crime. I've over 40.
If you were really good, you would have 0 convictions.
I know. I'm not good at math either. They look at what they look at mostly when they're looking at my record to if they're deciding to allow me in is not even the severity or the severity, yes, the volume of convictions. What they're most concerned about is the pattern of the pervasive, what they call the pervasive pattern of reoffending. So what they say is basically a chronic offender. Like it's like you're a madman who can't help.
What's the likelihood that you commit a crime once you cross the border?
And dude, okay, imagine you or me. This is our job. You get my record in front of you. You're just a bureaucrat who wants to go home at the end of the night and fucking watch TV. You get this fucking monstrosity of a criminal record, and it's on you if you let me in.
Yeah.
And I go to Vegas for a weekend and have a drink, and then all of a sudden I start robbing people.
Yeah.
That's on you if you let me in. I don't blame them. I really don't.
Yeah, I get it. So, I'd be like, fuck this guy. Stay in Vancouver.
Yeah, it's easier. If I had that job, I'm not. This doesn't sound like I'm not talking myself up here, but I'm realistic about the thing. I'm not the guy to take the chance on paper.
Yeah,
I'm not.
On paper, yeah.
On paper, I'm not. If you've never met me and you don't know anything about me and you're just stamping yes or no, my case is not the one to be like, I'm going to give this guy a second chance, right? So will I ever be able to go to the States? Maybe one day, but
it's a magical place. You're missing out.
I know. The problem is not the problem. Here's the reality. Okay, first, in life, you have to live with the consequences of your actions.
True.
If I should have thought about a lot of this stuff before I robbed banks and committed home invasions, okay? So I have to live with the consequences of my actions. I did those crimes. I have a record. That shit never goes away. Okay.
Very mature outlook.
Fair enough.
Very mature perspective.
But you cannot live in dreamland either and go, okay, I'm going to make all my plans in life around one day maybe being able to go to the States.
Yeah,
that's
no.
too.
Yeah, no. That's why I'm saying you build your shit here.
Right. Also, I can go to Europe. I'm an Irish citizen by birth. My dad is an Irish citizen, so I get that. I'm entitled to Irish citizenship.
Dude, go to Ireland. Yeah. Most of what you described on drugs is a Tuesday over there.
That's right.
Yeah.
And because I'm an Irish citizen, Ireland has the best of both worlds. Today, who knows? I can legally work in UK and the rest of Europe. I can legally work. Like
you should.
Taxes.
I feel like you should be allowed to go to Australia too. That whole place was fucking founded by goddamn criminals.
I can pretty well go anywhere except the United States.
Okay, so there you got options. Yeah. What are we talking about here?
The only reason I haven't done any of this shit yet is with some stuff with comedy, I want to take my time. Like I don't want to just move to a different continent 5 years in and go, oh, maybe that comedy was just a phase.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. I also want to be good. I want to be really good.
Oh yeah, if you're gonna go to another country, you better fucking be good.
I better fucking knock it out of the park the minute I get there. You know what I mean?
Or you're gonna be that garbage foreign open micer.
Yeah.
You're gonna be Gustav.
Yeah, fuck. Also, you know this game. I want to make sure I know a couple people who can at least go, yeah, Mark's good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because that helps. I hate networking has a kind of a dirty connotation to it, but it's not.
I like networking.
Yeah, it's good. I just don't like it when it's like the Hollywood schmoozy,
like sleazy,
where it has nothing to do with what it. This is what happens a lot. I notice in Vancouver. It has nothing to do with how good of a comic you are. It's how good at schmoozing you are. That's the kind I don't like.
Yeah, well, for stand-up, in a real city that has real stand-up, that doesn't work too long because there's no money in it because the audience won't come back. If you keep putting on shitty acts, the audience can be like, I'm not coming to this fucking shit show anymore.
Right. Exactly.
So your talents. But hey, before I let you go, we said you're going to talk about the pool party. Explain that to me.
Okay, so I have this guy who follows me around and tries to get me canceled. And people sometimes think it's me, but it's not me. It's not me. His name's Mark SJW Hughes. Okay. They say, no, it's you, Mark. It's Mark Hughes. It's just SJW in the middle. I'm like, I'm telling you, it's not me. Anyway.
Wait, hold on. Who's Mark SJW Hughes? I thought that was you.
No, that's what everyone thinks. It's this guy who looks like me and sort of sounds like me. If you took estrogen and hormone blockers and then identified as a woman.
Who am I following? Am I following the wrong Mark Hughes?
He has his own Twitter account and he fucking poaches my followers, man. Anyway, he broke into my podcast studio and interviewed the famous Jessica Yaniv.
Oh, right. Yeah, this guy. Yeah, the men are rape guy. Yeah. I follow him too.
Yeah. Zer, them, or whatever.
Yeah, anyway, I follow Zer.
So Jessica Yaniv, for those of you who don't know, is a trans activist out here.
Okay.
Activist who sued.
But I've seen her. She's not very active.
No, and she's fucking pretty gross. Yeah. And Yaniv was suing a bunch of waxing salons and private estheticians for not waxing his balls.
Yeah, I remember that. Because they said they only do women.
Yeah.
And she said.
And then sue.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Then sue. So just like Mike is got brought up in front of the human rights thing.
Yeah.
Yaniv was bringing women who didn't want him in their house with his balls out to whack. It was fucking fucked up, man. And just to put the story a pin in it for a second, the biggest travesty of this is how the fuck did it even get far enough where there's a hearing?
Yeah.
That's what's fucked up. Anyway. That's
a circus.
That's fucked up, right?
Shouldn't people have the right to be like, yo, I don't do balls, like?
And but these days we live in clown world, right?
Christ.
So anyway, luckily enough, Yaniv lost the case. However, the problem was the adjudicator for the fucking Human Rights Tribunal even admitted, if it had been in a roundabout way, if it had been a more likable, for lack of a better term, person, might have gone a different way. Because the problem was Yaniv does all kinds of things. Was lobbying to have a underage pool party in a suburb outside of Vancouver called Langley for children to be able to express their gender identity and no adults allowed. Like, really,
yeah, remember what the fuck was that?
And yeah, that's it. That's just literally what happened. And so I believe Yaniv is deranged. I believe Yaniv is okay with all this gender identity laws and all these things. Yaniv is someone who saw, hey, wait a minute. You mean if I just say I'm fucking trans, I can, people will be too scared to say anything because they'll be afraid of being called transphobic?
You think trans people will beat the shit out of him one day?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, trans people are fucking...
Because doesn't that fuck up a cause? That's just you're taking advantage.
Yeah. One of the sad things is, though, after Mark SJW Hughes interviewed Yaniv, because Mark SJW Hughes is a fan of Yaniv.
Yeah.
He's fucked. Mark SJW Hughes is deranged, right?
We need to find out what his real name is.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's I have some dirt on Mark SJW Hughes that I'm going to release one day. I'm just putting the case together. Anyway, I got messages from people going, good job. I mean, again, it's not me, guys. It's Mark SJW Hughes. They're going, good job. I got messages from trans activists and social justice warriors and stuff like that, people I know. And they're like, I'm so glad that you did that because we're scared to criticize Yaniv publicly. Oh. This is how bad it is even people who are activists are we're scared to criticize this because we're afraid of being called transphobic. That's how fucking deranged it all is, right?
So if a real trans person is gonna be called transphobic,
yeah, they'll be like an Uncle Tom, an Uncle Trans.
That's so fucked.
Yeah, man. And all I'm gonna say, people, is I'm not saying people got to fight this in the streets or fucking any of that stuff, but I think we have to put our foot down and go, okay, I'm not playing this dumb game anymore. I don't believe any of that shit. I think you just got to go, no, I don't. I'm not. I think people have to be. I think
you have to be reasonable because I'm pretty reasonable with understanding if people are fucking around. Yeah. Like this dude, it was from the beginning was obvious because it wasn't like a hey, help me, I'm trapped in the wrong body. I want to identify. It wasn't that at all. It was you said you only do vaginas. Well, for me, my dick is a vagina. Yeah. That's just now you're overdoing it. You know what I mean? Like it's obvious. I'm just surprised that I didn't see. I thought in the beginning what I had said when that happened is, dude, some big trans activist is going to come out and bury this motherfucker. But nobody did.
They're too scared too because they think it will affect the cause. And they're also worried that some of them say Yaniv kind of has a point. It's just the way he's going about doing it.
Doesn't have a point.
Man, you
doesn't have
be
a point.
More vocal than that.
Yeah. Doesn't have a point.
And that's the thing. Here's what I say. And this is a tough sell, I know, but in some ways, I think a lot of people have to be willing to maybe be accused of certain phobics or isms. We have to be able to, because that's what they're going to do. If you criticize anything, they're going to call you racist and transphobic anyway. So why put up with all this shit? Like, if the worst that's going to happen is I go, hey, I don't agree with you with that case. And they're going to say, well, you're transphobic. Then fucking be it, man. I don't care. That's fucking stupid.
Dude,
I don't care. Yeah.
I've heard trans people talking about, like, let's say, not understanding in the beginning and never feeling comfortable in their own skin and going through all this shit their whole life, okay? If I was trans and this cocksucker was pulling this kind of shit, I'd lose my fucking mind.
It just gives ammunition to the people who are like, let's get rid of all this trans stuff altogether. So let's
which that's not good either, because that's what I'm saying. That's what's fucked up, because you're basically punishing people who are going through shit because this one asshole, no one has the balls to stand up and be like, shut the fuck up, stop being stupid.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the thing. It just gives it all a bad name and it takes away its credibility. That's the reality. And really, it just. Again, I talk about this all the time. I read about this all the time. All it would take is a small percentage of the population, not even half, just to go, shut up, fuck. And that'd be the end of it.
Yeah, but people are scared.
Yeah, that's social media dopamine.
It's crazy that you would say that about something false. Like you're like, well, this falls into that category. It doesn't fall in like this guy's fucking around. Yeah. This guy's fucking around.
I know it, but dude, the whole episode could be devoted to like, why is society like this now? And I have my own fucking frogs are gay theories and stuff like that, right? But we're gonna keep it light, just bank robberies and tranny shit.
That's all it is. Yeah. So where do you want people to follow you? What do you want to get out there?
At Mark Hughes Comic on everything.
Links in the description.
Yeah. I'm easy to find. YouTube channel, Instagram, Twitter. Although I'm Canadian, so Twitter isn't that. Do you find Twitter? I find Twitter's not that popular up here. Do you find that?
Most of the people that I interact with on Twitter, you are correct, are American.
They're American. Yeah. To most Canadian. I've noticed this along. A social media expert told me one time that Twitter never caught on in Canada.
How come?
With average people. Just with average people.
Yeah, I never know. Yeah. You just said it, so it was like an epiphany. Yeah, most of my interactions on Twitter are American.
The only people who use Twitter in Canada are like politicians and like journalists and stuff. Regular people. I meet very few regular people who have a Twitter account.
That's true.
But the most popular social media platforms in Canada are Instagram and Facebook.
Facebook still, huh?
Yeah.
I got a bit of following on Facebook.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
That's actually where most of my following. YouTube and Facebook is where most of my fans come from.
YouTube, I got a few too. But Facebook is getting bigger. Facebook's, but I don't post that much on Facebook. I gotta take more advantage of it.
Yeah, man.
Anyways, so Mark, I'm delighted that you came on. Hopefully, people check you out. You're dropping podcasts, and you're fighting a good fight. And my wish for you is that everything works out. You get to a city that appreciates you, and you can do your fucking stand-up.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you to everyone who's fucking listening or watching. Thank you, guys.